Hey, somebody needs to shower off. You have? Excellent. Good morning, afternoon, or evening. You are listening to The Professional Noticer. Hello, everyone. I'm Andy Andrews. Hey, thank you for making me a part of your week. My purpose here today, and with every show we do, is to play the part of best friend or a coach, and I want to help you live the life of your wildest dreams by giving you access to the greatest mentors the world has to offer today. This week, The Professional Noticer is sponsored by wisdomharbor.com. For less than $3 a month per teacher, classrooms have access to original content only found on wisdomharbor.com that teaches, entertains, and builds character in young people while creating conversations between young people and adults in their community. Utilizing video, audio, and the written word, content is delivered in small bites by Grammy winners, CEOs, comedians, chefs, best-selling authors, and Hall of Fame speakers. There are even guitar lessons from an award-winning songwriter. Check it out today and join your friends and neighbors who are already a part of wisdomharbor.com. And isn't it time your schools got involved? Wisdomharbor.com, creating America's next greatest generation, starting with your hometown. Observations and answers, that's what we do on The Professional Noticer. And as you know, we love it when somebody comes to the table with both. And we have what is shaping up to be one of my favorite kind of shows. Because when I have somebody that I don't know a lot about and I'm really curious about, this is just get ready for some digging. We have an observation and answer guy in Chuck Chumley, and he came to us from a roundabout source. His uncle made a suggestion to me out in the studio one day and said, hey, I have this nephew. And I'm like, he does what? And he showed me a couple of pictures. And I went, oh yeah, get him. So Chuck, man, it's great to have you here today.
It's fantastic to be here. Thanks for having me.
And let me tell you what he does. He builds sandcastles. How about that? So Chuck, you and your wife have a place down here.
We do, yes.
And you're up in Atlanta mostly. And what is your background?
Well, my background really is working in the supermarket business, into oil companies, and since the oil companies moved into a small business installing gutters in different commercial and residential homes, as well as lately venturing into the world of authoring a couple of children's books.
Yeah, I want to get into that.
But the Sandcastle bit, probably that creativity piece came from my mother. She was always working with crafts or saying, we're going to do something and create an adventure and put 12 or 15 things together, and suddenly there's a new board game in the house. Or
where did you grow up?
Grew up in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Okay. Did you have access to the beach a lot?
Well, we made quite a few trips to the beach down towards the Myrtle Beach area in South Carolina. It was about 3 hours away, but not as much as I would like to have had.
So your early sandcastles now, and Matt is going to be showing some of these as we go along, but your early sandcastles probably did not look like your today ones. But where was there a tilting, a little tipping point there that you went, hey, I could take this to another level?
Well, that's a good question. I think it was the time when our children were starting to be old enough to play in the sand and wanted to build some sandcastles. And my wife recognized mine were not good.
Oh, God. It's just an amazing power wives have. Yeah. Lord, give me a woman who will tell me what I am not good at. This. She can tell you.
She will pay attention and let me know. And probably I deserve that, so that's okay. Yeah. But the castles really weren't that good. And so if we fast forward a couple of months on our next wedding anniversary, I received a gift, which is this little CD with a video for about 30 minutes that says how to build better sandcastles. And I watched it and then did what it said, and they started to improve.
Well, now, See, now this is my, I guess you could see that.
I can see it.
This is, that's my snowman. And I went to the beach and I, piled up a mound of sand and put some citrus stuff there and put one of Polly's shells and cranberries, palmettos, put a hat on it. But really, I've got a pile of sand, and so this is like, hey, we're dreaming of a white Christmas. Come on, it's homey, but yours, I mean, my sand sculpture compared to yours is like that Rudolph claymation, that claymation show, where I just want to be a dentist, compared to some of the high wizardry that you see in cinema. It's like you got me.
Well,
I know it's apples and oranges, but I look at your stuff and I'm just like jaw jacked.
Well, I think that's very kind of you to say. My early sandcastles looked a lot worse than that. But I will say one thing I've noticed: it's a lot easier to critique than create. So you built something, which is a huge step forward, right? You used the resources that were available, and it's a recognizable castle. You probably had a bit of fun, and now you get to remember that by having it hang on your wall. So that's a win.
When I left that, there were people coming over, having their pictures taken with it. Do you leave your stuff?
Absolutely.
I guess, what would you do? Kick it down? But
well, I do leave them because depending on the crowd on the beach, if it's something that's fairly nice, people will take pictures and use them in their own Christmas cards or holiday cards and maybe just post them online. But you have to be willing to be an artist who is okay with a blank canvas every day, because the ocean always wins. The tide will get them.
Ocean and wind.
It's going to happen. And if it doesn't, then, maybe the bulldozer cleaning up the beach will also get them. So,
right.
And the occasional young child whose parents are watching closely. Ooh. It happens.
Oh, my God.
There was a time that really upset me, and now I just film it myself and watch. So, yeah.
What do you consider your greatest work? What was your Mona Lisa?
Whew, now that's a good question. Maybe I'll take a line from one of your books, The Noticer, and say the best is yet to come.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So I've created some that I'm really happy with, generally around Thanksgiving and Christmas holidays, because those themes are easy to get behind. Right. But yeah, what's next? I'm not sure yet.
What have you? Is there an object or something that you think, I would like to do that, but I'm not sure how to do that yet?
Wow. Well, I can go online and see some of these professional sandcastle builders that have...
Dude, nobody's more professional than you.
Well, that's very nice of you to say. But these people with, backhoes and piling up mounds of sand 20 feet high and all kinds of forms and things, it's amazing what they do. But for me, it's more about how to build some things at this point with some space that I can see through, right? So you've got to defy the laws of gravity a little bit to build arches and doorways and things that allow the ocean to show through from the backside, something like that. And more of that, I think.
And you are building, see, here's the sense I get from you, Chuck, is when Chuck comes in, I don't really think businessman. I don't think Sandcastle Builder. I don't think young, old, Democrat, Republican, Alabama, Georgia. I look at and I quickly kind of settled on dad. You're like a dad. And so these sandcastles seem like something that dads can kind of up their game just a little bit and do some of what you do.
For sure. It just takes a little effort. It's the difference in what I build and what somebody builds with just pouring a bucket upside down is just a few hours of focus, really. If you're willing to take the time and learn a few things, you can make a massive difference in how your castles turn out. And then you have to bring some patience, because they will fall down. Things won't turn out the way you expect them to. So you have to be flexible. If you're not, it's a pretty bad habit or bad hobby.
Yeah.
But if you can live with that when the tower falls down, or you make, like yesterday on the beach, made one with Santa Claus upside down in a chimney. And halfway through the day, one of his legs fell off.
Oh.
And so, you just have to live with the fact that you either are rebuilding parts or you move on and turn that chimney into just a chimney at that point.
Yeah.
So,
Just a chimney. That's awesome, because that's so much a metaphor for life. You get in a place and you think, this is what I intended to do, and here I am, and this is not happening. And what do I have? You can't stop.
Right.
What do I have to make of this? I've lost a leg here, and I got to keep going. And, because there's no backing out. It's a great metaphor for life.
Yeah. I think that's it.
I'm
keep going.
I'm just tunneling Jones stuff right now. I'm thinking Jones may find you on the beach in the next book.
I can't imagine how happy I would be if Jones did find me on the beach.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Be very
So what do
exciting.
your kids do?
Well, my son, he's a recent college grad. He played tennis on the college team and helped to coach the team his last couple of years there in school, and now full-time tennis coach.
All right.
So he's enjoying that life of doing something he's really good at, and people appreciate him sharing. And my daughter, bless you. My daughter, she's been working her way through. She graduated recently from university as well, and for many years has been delivering math tutoring sessions, and now is doing that on a near full-time basis. So helping
That's awesome.
children from 7 years old to 18 years old and beyond prepare for different math programs.
So you and your wife are just playing it loose, seeing what
That's
you
right.
want to do.
One day I'll figure out what I want to be when I grow up.
When you grow up. I had hoped that we would send you to the beach today, but look, it's already, we knew bad weather was coming. And so we were thinking, we'll send Chuck to the beach and then we'll go at the end of the day and we'll see what Chuck has done. I don't think we're going to get to do that today. But
Yeah, we'll see. Maybe the rain will clear out.
yeah. So this is a fascinating thing, because a sandcastle, to me, is like a snail. You know, they say snails are slow, but have you ever seen one coming? You just you're standing around and you look, bam, there's a snail. And I don't know that I've ever walked down to the beach and said, come on, let's walk until we find a sandcastle. It's just like, wow, there's a sandcastle. Somebody built a sandcastle. And then you see something that somebody did like you that's extraordinary. And it changes as the sun goes down with the clouds and the shading. And that's just bringing a lot of joy to a lot of people. So what are the basic elements if a dad wants to up his game and he's been going with the scoop in the bucket for so long and dump a bucket of sand up? Yeah. So what kind of tools do you use?
Well, I think if you're doing the bucket dump technique and you're with your family, that's probably a good day. But if you want to step up and start to make them a little better, then primarily it's just a bucket. The difference is most people fill a bucket with sand and add a little water or have a little bit of wet sand. And I start mostly water and add a little bit of sand. So it's the opposite, really.
Really?
Because really, really wet sand, as it dries, then it'll stay together better. So I start with a lot of water, which probably makes you want to be close to the ocean.
Yeah.
Because it's not lighter as you go, and carrying bucket after bucket, it does start to get heavy. But the other thing for tools, I use what looks like a collection of cake decorating tools. The most common thing is just a little wedge that looks like you'd spread icing on a cake with it, and a straw that you pick up when you have lunch or dinner at the restaurant, and you take that with you. And then if you carve a little piece that you want to see a little better, you use the straw to blow the excess sand away. Only because I found when you try to wipe it off, you just wipe off every bit of the work you did. So,
Right.
yeah, and so those are really the basic tools. And next level, I'd say, is get a bucket that does not have a bottom in it, or just cut the bottom off of one so you can use it as a form, fill it up, pack it in really tall, and then you can take it away without damaging anything you've done to build. So that's really, it sounds simple, but it's really the tool you need is patience, a willingness to move a lot of sand and water.
Yeah, and maybe to get them blended well.
Mm-hmm.
I would assume that you don't want too much water on this side, too much sand on this side.
Of course,
you want to have it blended, and so what is a technique that you had seen in somebody else's sand sculpture that you go, how did they do that? And then you figured it out.
Yeah, I'll say the first thing that really caught my eye was seeing some sand sculptures that looked like they were made of real brick or stones. And I thought, that's amazing. And I noticed people all around are saying, oh, look at the stonework on that one. And then I watched a guy, it was Matt the Sandman, I believe is his name. You can find him online. He talks about how he used the tool to carve little stones. And I watched for about 60 seconds and I thought, there's no way that can be how he does this. And then I started to do it. And now people say, hey, look at the stonework or look at those bricks. And I think, how can it be that easy? But as you said, sandcastles can be a bit of a metaphor for life. And a lot of things are easy once you know the secret.
Will you give us the secret? Do you not give the secret?
Which secret are you looking for?
Can you tell us what they do to make them look like stones?
Oh, yeah. Really, it's just you've got the really wet sand packed in. So you start with a bit of a solid piece, and they're just making random cuts in odd shapes. And you think, oh, well, what is the shape of a rock? Any shape is the shape of a rock. You've seen dozens or thousands of them in your life. So any shape at all, as long as it's something random. But I think that's the part that's hard for people, It's like, well, what is it supposed to look like? Whatever you make it, that's what it's supposed to look like. If you went to a field and picked up some rocks, what are they going to look like? They'll be random. So as long as you make them in very random shapes, then when you're finished, people say it looks like rocks. It's really quite simple.
Something I learned yesterday is it's a bit of science that I think might help you in what you're doing. But rocks are soft until you touch them.
Okay. That's probably right.
Until that moment you touch them, they're a little fluffy.
Okay.
When you touch them, there's something about the human flesh that makes them turn hard. I told somebody yesterday, I said, I'm going to tell all my gullible friends that. But so when I love things that you can look at and miss something. And then when somebody points it out to you, you can't unsee it. Like now you can't see it the way you saw it before. And so I guess that has to do with symmetry and tricks of light and stuff like that. But what are your favorite shapes to build? What if you go out today, what are you thinking?
Well, in almost every case, unless it's something specifically for Christmas or Thanksgiving or a Memorial Day holiday or something, then I'll always build some sort of tower in the center because something about having some height to it gets people's attention.
Right.
Yeah, people notice. They also don't step on it by accident if it's big enough that they see it when they walk down the beach.
Right.
And that's helpful because you don't want that to happen while you're off grabbing another bucket of water. And it has happened. It's happened, right?
Have you, and you got to be like, you can't lose your temper, you know?
No, it's it can be challenging because it's not my beach. It's everybody's beach.
Right.
So you have to be somewhat patient with people.
Do you ever have anybody get real angry or grouchy?
I haven't really found people to get grouchy. I mean, the local police have been upset when I was on the beach with a metal shovel, and they said, don't you know the laws say we can't use metal shovels on the beach? And I say, well, now I had no idea there was such a law, but that's fine. I'll get a plastic shovel. But, so you end up with that sort of thing. It happens at times where you're learning. And surprisingly, you'd be shocked at some of the places in the world that have different rules about what you can do on a beach, right? You go to some place and somebody's fully clothed from head to toe and another person close to them has almost nothing. And that's okay. But I can't dig a hole that's 12 inches deep on the beach. And I don't understand. I admit, I have no idea why that's true. Maybe safety. They don't want people to trip and fall in the hole after dark. I have no idea. But you learn different things.
It's like, okay, somebody's aunt fell in the hole. It's 12 feet deep 13 years ago. And
that's right.
Oh, my gosh. What's the craziest thing that you've run into that's happened like that?
The craziest thing. Good question.
Have you ever had anybody come out and go, hey, what are you doing on my lawn? Oh, wow. Have you ever had any of that?
Well, you don't have so much of that. What are you doing? People do walk up and see, though, and amazingly, they will give you all kinds of advice. Right. People who've never built a sandcastle in their life, or maybe they've built many and I just don't know where they are, but they'll, come by and say, this looks fantastic. If you got some Kool-Aid, you could probably add colors to this and it'd be really nice. Or do you know what would finish this off? And I'm thinking to myself, I've been finished for 45 minutes. I'm just relaxing now. So I don't really know. So at first, I'll tell you, that would kind of frustrate me when people would come down with their expertise about how to build a better castle.
Yeah, right.
But after a while, I just started smiling and I would say, that's a good idea. Where's yours? So and often they'd say, oh, well, I didn't make one yet, But
right.
But frequently we'll have people, that generally younger children will pile around and start to create their own or want to help out. So finding the right balance of saying, yes, help out, but knowing that when 5-year-old Johnny or Sarah bumps into it, 3 feet are going to tumble down. You got to figure out which parts they can help with and be safe.
Have you ever had a situation where a kid like bumped it and was so sad or?
Yeah, it happens.
Yeah.
Generally, you don't see the children being as sad. I mean, that's when they bump them, it's normally when they're jumping up and down and stomping them with their feet.
Right.
So I see that quite a bit. Or you'll see the child and the parents walking down the beach and the child is very definitely interested in starting to look from different points of view and slowly edging closer to it. And they just happen to throw the Frisbee next to the castle or the baseball lands really close and they just bump into it by accident. Or, the football being thrown on the beach. For some reason, we've got 100 yards of beautiful beach here in Gulf Shores and they need to throw it just right over the top of the castle.
Yeah.
It happens. And then it's an accident when the ball hits the castle. And it probably was at that moment an accident, but you might have chosen a different spot. But
call me. I'll go beat up some kids for you.
Well,
beat up some 12-year-olds.
I do have to tell myself, it's not my beach. It's not my beach. I love this beach. I like to visit, but it's not mine. So you have to be a little flexible.
Man, you are such a welcome person down here, because I've heard people talking about, people will walk along and find it and say there's somebody on, and so it's awesome to hear. How did you get started writing children's books?
Well, about a year ago, almost exactly a year ago, I was thinking, what am I going to do with my life? I've now retired from the oil company, looking for what's next without any idea in the world what that is going to be. So I filled up some of my time each day playing pickleball. Now, there are pickleball lovers and haters in the world. That's clear, because the noise it makes, the use of the tennis courts that used to be great for my tennis game. And I mean, I see and hear all of that, and I recognize different points of view. But I was playing a lot of pickleball, and I'm reading through some notes I had at home one day and thought, I told myself a long time ago at some point I was going to write a children's book. My mother had written a children's book, so I thought, okay, maybe it's time for me to do this, but what's it going to be about? I had no idea. So I just started thinking, what would make it popular? Well, pickleball is very popular at the moment, so I'll make a pickleball book. But what else do children like? Well, they like pets. So let's see, I'll make a character who I chose to name Paintbrush. Paintbrush is the cat who's the main character in the book. So the first book is Paintbrush Discovers Pickleball. So
wow.
Yeah.
Wow. When is Paintbrush going to build a sandcastle?
Paintbrush hasn't built a sandcastle yet, but in that first book, one of the things that Paintbrush's grandma suggests to Paintbrush, who's bored because he just doesn't have anything to do that day, is to maybe go ride a bicycle or go build a sandcastle with his friends. And Paintbrush has lots of reasons why he doesn't want to do each of these things and remains bored. So Grandma takes him on an adventure.
Right.
Yeah.
So how many children's books do you have?
Right now we have 2.
Okay.
So we have the Paintbrush Discovers Pickleball, and then the follow-on to that is Paintbrush Learns Pickle Fu. So if you think about Kung Fu, this is how to apply some interesting skills to the pickleball world or beyond in life.
Yeah. So, yeah. Okay. All right. That's good. We'll have those on the show notes, so you can go and get those books. That is awesome. And so I guess you will know whether we have got the extra footage or not, but we'll get you sometime down here, whether it's today or some other time. But Chuck, thank you for coming in.
Yeah, it's my pleasure.
This is awesome. I want to stay in touch with you and let you coach me on building a sandcastle sometime.
We just have to pick the day when you can make the time to get out there.
Yeah, I can do it. Just
we will do it.
It's not raining. All right. Thank you, buddy.
Right. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
I'm Andy Andrews, the professional noticer, harnessing common sense and wisdom to plow through challenges all the way to an answer for you. And I think that'll do it for this week. Get us out of here, Matthew. So, ladies and gentlemen, and to the boys and girls who aspire to become ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the end of another episode of The Professional Noticer. In a world where common sense has become a superpower, I'm harnessing that tiny bit of mental energy I have for you, seeking wisdom, making observations, and endeavoring to answer tough questions in a way that will empower your family and your business. I'm Andy Andrews. Until next week, goodbye. This episode of The Professional Noticer was produced by Matt Limpert. The Noticer theme written and performed by Sugarcane Jane. Sandbags for the cast and crew provided by Twinkle and Smoke of Beverly Hills. Additional financial consideration provided by the families of Augustine and Giletto Tar. By producing their proprietary blend of sticky black substances from cornstalks by heating them in microwave ovens, the Tar family is recognized far and wide for their generous contributions to our society. The dark brown or black viscous liquid of hydrocarbons and free carbons obtained from a wide variety of organic materials through destructive processes that are apparent in our everyday life. They have distilled and produced fine, upstanding, hot and sticky tar for our everyday lives. Mineral products resembling tar can be produced from fossil hydrocarbons such as petroleum. Coal tar is produced from coal as a byproduct of coke production. Tar and pitch can be used interchangeably. Asphalt, naturally occurring pitch, may also be called either mineral tar or mineral pitch. There is a tendency to use tar for more liquid substances and pitch for more solid, viscotic substances, but Augustine and Gelato Tar have formed tar cities to produce only the finest tar available, so that now we can look at America and legitimately ask, where in tarnation is this all going? Finally, thank you, Augustine and Gelato Tar, for leading our families into this sweet place, all of us together, the whole tar nation.